Hey folks, Dane here. Just before this episode airs, I am aware that the trade happened with Denis Gurianov and Evgeny Dodonov. What you're about to see, I recorded Saturday night after the Dallas Stars win over the Vegas Golden Knights. So we talk about the win, we talk about Monday's game against the Canucks, and then later I'll be doing an episode on the Denis Gurianov trade, Evgeny Dodonov, all of that good stuff. So just so you know, I am aware it happened, and we are doing an episode on it, just not right now. So enjoy this episode talking about Saturday night's big win. The Dallas Stars and Vegas Golden Knights put on a show on Saturday night, and the Stars end up winning 3-2 behind some heroics from Jake Oettinger, Roope Hintz, and Jason Robertson. We'll talk about how Robo revived this team's season on today's episode of Locked On Stars.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Bing bong.
Bing bong indeed. Been way too long since I've gotten to hear that sound in the intro. Been a while since we've seen the Stars pick up a win, but howdy there, Stars fans. Welcome back to the Locked On Stars podcast, the only daily podcast covering the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Dane Lewis, your local expert on all things Dallas Stars hockey, coming to you on this Monday, February 27th. And whether this is your first time here or you are a recurring listener, thank you for stopping by and making Locked On Stars your first listen of the day. If you're new to the show and just now finding us for the first time, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or hit the follow button on your favorite podcasting platform. We're free and available no matter where or how you choose to listen. And we post daily Dallas Stars content Monday through Friday, game recaps, and of course this week with some, I assume, still trades incoming. We'll be covering all of that here this week and throughout the rest of the season. And the season that has been saved by guys like Roope Hintz, Jake Oettinger, and Jason Robertson. What a game that we witnessed on Saturday night. I'm actually recording this late on Saturday night. And of course, you're seeing it now on Monday. But while everything's fresh on my mind, wanted to go ahead and talk about it now. I mean, what a game we witnessed. I mean, just in all aspects with the goaltending and just from the Stars' perspective, the ability to overcome some substantial hits to their morale, a game that we've seen them lose way too many times this season. It all really started in, the first period with Jake Oettinger having to play heroics. I mean, 43 shots on goal for both teams. We'll talk a little bit about the goalie battle later on in the game, but the Stars just found ways to get themselves back into the contest. The Vegas Golden Knights break the ice and score first, and then less than 2 minutes later, we see Wyatt Johnston get the team on the board. And then in the third period, we see Jack Eichel beat the Stars defense. He beats Jake Oettinger. And it really just kind of felt like, again, one of these games where the Stars put up a pretty good effort, couldn't score goals, and they allow a late one. They're going to leave Vegas without a point. And then along comes Jason Robertson with, I feel like it's not a stretch to say that this is a season-saving type play, which feels weird to say because the Stars were still first in their division going into this matchup. But, you lose this game, and who knows how much farther this thing spirals out of control. The Golden Knights have a basically two-man breakaway with an empty net. They shoot the puck, they score. The Golden Knights go up 3-1 with about 50 seconds left in the game, and the Stars get nothing out of this one-game road trip to Vegas. But Jason Robertson, just a simple little, lay down and block the puck, keep it from moving forward. The Stars are able to regain possession. They get back in their own zone, or offensive zone, I should say, and Roope Hintz is able to score a huge goal, maybe the most important goal for the team this season to get the game back at even. And then we witnessed one of the most entertaining 3-on-3 overtime periods. And this game should be the example of, we don't need shootouts in the NHL. We need 5 extra minutes in overtime, because I don't think anyone in that building and no one watching that game wanted to see this contest go to a shootout, but that's how it happened to be. And of course, Robertson and Hintz and Oettinger come up big for the team. Yet again, Oettinger saving both shots from Paul Cotter and Jack Eichel, and Jason Robertson and Roope Hintz scoring on Laurent Brossoit to send the Stars back home happy and hopefully with the monkey off their back. But I think it really all just boils down to that play from Jason Robertson. And I know a lot of people were tweeting on Twitter about the game, and it's a huge play. The Hintz goal's great, but it really starts there. And I mean, that's an MVP level type play. It's not something that's going to show up in the stat sheet. It's not something that, is going to make SportsCenter top 10 or be talked about for ages of one of the greatest plays, but it is a huge play for this team at where they currently stood on this losing streak, not winning games, whether it's good teams, bad teams, the team just at an all-time low. And really this game again showed a lot of the similar symptoms where they're allowing too many odd man rushes, they're not executing on the power play, but they found a way. And a huge part of it was having debatably their best player, a guy who's one of the top three most important players on the team, laying his body out, making a huge stop, and then of course helping get the puck back in the offensive zone. And it's really something that I think Stars fans, players, and coaches already knew that Jason Robertson played with a ton of effort and a ton of heart. But I mean, this is the embodiment of who he is and why he's so special. I mean, we know that he can score goals. We know that he can rack up points, and he's special for that reason too. But it's plays like this that make him a fan favorite in Dallas. It's plays like that that make us talk about him in the same sentences as some of the greatest players for this franchise, with guys like Jamie Benn, guys like Mike Modano. I mean, he just makes incredible plays, and it's not just his scoring ability. I mean, it's the effort and the IQ that he plays with as well. And you're not going to see a more special sequence from this team for the rest of the season. And again, it feels weird saying that it's season saving, but I mean, that's really what it felt like it is, because then you lose this game, you go back at home on Monday night for yet another trap game against a less than good Vancouver Canucks team. I mean, we're just calling it what it is. The Canucks have not had a good year, but they still can be dangerous. And so now you actually have a little bit of confidence going in this game. And if you're able to pick up the win on Monday, then you're really right back on track, especially at this point in the season. The race in the division is tighter than it's ever been, with Winnipeg, Minnesota, and Colorado all looming ready to take over that first spot. And some of those teams already making moves at the deadline. We saw the Winnipeg Jets add Nino Niederreiter from the Nashville Predators, adding to some of their forward depth. And I assume we'll see the Stars do the same this week, hopefully adding to the depth of their team. But I mean, what a huge play from number 21 at this point in the season, when the team needed him most, when they needed somebody to step up and light a spark. He lights the spark, and then the flame is fully lit ablaze with Roope Hintz's goal. And I mean, we can gush on and on about Jason Robertson. We've been doing it all season, and it's really been, oh, this goal was great. This pass was great. This sequence from the top line was excellent. But at the end of the day, it's plays like that that make him such a special player. And it's, again, not going to be something that's credited in the stat sheet, and probably not something that'll get talked about a ton beyond this season, at least outside of the Dallas Stars, circle. But this is a play that Stars fans and his teammates and his coaches will remember for a very, very long time. And it made all the difference in getting the Stars hopefully headed back in the right direction this season. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk about the goalie battle that we witnessed and Jake Ottinger's heroics in Vegas on Saturday. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by our friends at Athletic Greens. With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens product AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports both your gut health, your nervous system, and your immune system, as well as your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. There are tons of people out there who take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. AG1 is a small micro habit with big benefits. It's one thing you can do every single day to take great care of yourself. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day, and that's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Thank you again for making the Locked On Stars podcast your first listen on this Monday, recapping what we witnessed in Las Vegas on Saturday night. Some are calling it the game of the year. It's me. I'm some. That's one of the best games I've ever seen. Playoff energy, playoff atmosphere. Vegas is building. The T-Mobile Arena is notorious for being one of the loudest in the NHL. You could definitely hear it even on the TV broadcast, and just had the feeling of a playoff matchup. And it made me wonder, man, what would have this series been like if we got to watch it back in 2020 when it was the Western Conference Finals? If it was in full arenas in front of crowds, it was, I mean, as great as it was to see Dennis Gurianov send the Stars to the Stanley Cup Finals, I mean, it was almost dead silent outside of the Stars players and coaches celebrating. Great moment, but man, it would have been so cool to see a series like that play out in front of sold out arenas in Vegas and Dallas, and the rest of the playoffs. I think would have been great too, because those series against the Flames and Avalanche were also great in their own right. But I digress. A huge reason why Saturday night's game was so great is we saw one of the best goalie battles we've seen in quite some time. Jake Oettinger, we know what he brings to the table night in and night out, but the Vegas Golden Knights were in a little bit of a different situation. I believe Laurent Brossoit was coming into this game as the third string goalie with guys like Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill unable to play, and Brossoit was making his third start of the season. He looked pretty sharp for the VGK, and if I'm not mistaken, he played against the Stars in one game last season as well in December, where he picked up a win in that game and was quite excellent against the team. But he and Ottinger put on an absolute show on Saturday night, and Brossoit gave us one of the best saves, one of the most insane and unbelievable saves that you'll ever see. And I mean, the Stars broadcast was going absolutely nuts over watching it, especially Razor. I mean, throwing up his arm after being knocked over. Robertson gets the opportunity in overtime. The puck eventually kind of bounces back out to the slot. Sagan gets a shot off. Looks like it's due to go in, but Brossoit just throws his arm up in the air, makes the save. He saves 41 of 43 shots. Jake Ottinger saves 41 of 43 as well. And as much credit as Robertson and Hintz deserve in this game, and Wyatt Johnston for scoring his 14th goal of the season, Jake Ottinger had, again, one of his best performances we've seen. I just feel like he keeps adding to that number as the season continues to go on. Again, saving 41 of 43 shots. That's a 9.953 save percentage. Excellent on the power play as well. I think he faced 9 power play shots. Yes, NHL.com has him saving 9 out of 9 power play shots. And especially early in that game, Vegas was just hammering the Stars in their own zone, out shooting them drastically through the first period. It was something like 15-5 in shots on goal. The Stars were eventually able to even that out. But man, early on, Jake Ottinger was the only reason that the Stars were competitive in that game and stayed in that game for as long as they did. And without him, and really without him, not just in Saturday's game, but throughout the entire season, I think that the outlook of this Stars campaign would look drastically different without number 29 in between the pipes. And he continues to show time and time again that he is prepared for these big moments. We obviously saw it last season in that first round series against the Calgary Flames. Jake Ottinger literally doing everything he could in his power to will that team to a series win when they came in as the wild card team against one of the top seeded teams in the Western Conference. But now, every time the Stars play these big teams, especially on the road, he has been nothing short of spectacular this season. And regardless of how this season shapes out for the Dallas Stars, whether they finish first in the conference, whether they finish first in the division, or they find themselves at a 2 or 3 seed in the Central, you're going to have all the confidence in the world in this team going into the postseason, simply because Jake Ottinger will be leading this team in net. I mean, there is no moment that is too big for him. The lights have never been too bright for number 29. And he again shows in a very packed house in Vegas on Saturday night against some really good talent. I mean, we saw the talent beat him at times. Jack Eichel's goal, I mean, a great move from him. And it was a huge step for Jake Ottinger to make the stop in the shootout. I mean, Jack Eichel is built for that one-on-one opportunity in the skills competition type play. Kind of took a similar approach in the shootout as he did on his goal. But Jake Ottinger reads it perfectly. I mean, you can see him make these adjustments in game. He's good as is, but then the way he's able to use his mind in order to anticipate and read plays, I mean, you can see it progress throughout the games, and you've seen him progress in that since he made his debut a couple seasons ago for the Stars. And it's been a thrill to watch him do what he's done. I mean, whenever this kid got drafted back in 2017, we figured he had to be pretty good because the Stars took him in the first round. But I don't know if we knew that he was going to be this special, especially this early on in his tenure with the Dallas Stars. I mean, you look at what the goalie situation was for this team just a few seasons ago. We probably weren't expecting to see Ottinger be in this position anytime soon. We thought, oh, well, they have Ben Bishop, we have Anton Hudobin. Those guys are playing pretty well. Of course, that wasn't the exact situation back in 2017, but just a few seasons ago when Ottinger was kind of, going through the minors and things of that nature, or going through college rather, up in Boston. I mean, there just probably wasn't as much thought, but then now here he is, just a couple years removed from some excellent playoff performances from Ben Bishop, from Anton Hudobin, and even last season you have a Vezina Trophy winner, a Stanley Cup winner, and Braden Holtby in the lineup, and you think, okay, Jake Ottinger's going to spend the whole year in the American Hockey League, and he just continues to take charge of his own situation, making the best of the situation that he has been presented with, and he is taking it and he has run with it. And it's again just been so incredibly fun to watch him step up in these big games. At times he does have to put the team on his back, but hopefully a game like this helps get the Stars back with some momentum heading forward, and we'll see them start to give Jake Ottinger a little bit more goal insurance and hopefully help him pick up a few more wins. But an excellent goalie battle on Saturday night. Both of those guys were playing out of their minds. Don't really know how much more we're going to see from Laurent Brossoit this season, given that, again, that he was not really one of the go-to guys for Vegas at the start of this year, but stepping up big time with some injuries on the VGK roster. And of course, we know, again, what Jake Ottinger brings to the table, and we're going to need more of that down the stretch this season. And then, especially when the Stanley Cup playoffs roll around, we're going to need 29 to be at his absolute best. But as he showed us on Saturday night, he seems to always be prepared for the big moments. Well, we're going to take one more quick break, but when we come back, we'll look ahead to tonight's game as the Vancouver Canucks come to town for their first meeting of the season with the Dallas Stars. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is also brought to you by our friends at Built Bar. Are you looking for a delicious treat but don't want all the fat and calories? Then you've got to try Built Bar. What makes Built Bars taste so good? Well, for starters, they're covered in 100% real chocolate, and they come in unbelievably delicious flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. And I'm not quite sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. What's even better is that they are actually good for you. They're healthy with only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't need to wait around to get your own box of Built Bars. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars from Built.com, but now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. Head to the nearest Walmart or Sam's Club today, go to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up delicious flavors like cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. Whether you go to the store and pick them up or you go to built.com, be sure to get your hands on some Built Bars today. You won't regret it. All right, everybody, let's close out this Monday episode of Locked On Stars. The team is back in action tonight after a thrilling win in Sin City on Saturday, beating one of the best teams in the league in the Vegas Golden Knights, top of the Pacific Division, and still near in the fight for the top of the Western Conference with the likes of the Stars, the Kings, the Jets, and even the Wild and the Avalanche. Not too far removed from one of those top spots in the Western Conference. But Monday night will show us one of the lesser teams in the conference, one of the lesser teams in the Pacific Division, which has not always ended well for the Stars when they go up against teams of this caliber from far out west. The Vancouver Canucks make their first trip to Dallas this season. This will be the first time these two teams get together. And I'm sure many of you are aware of the situation in Vancouver. It has not been an ideal season for them. This was a team last year that got off to a rough start. They fire their coach. They bring in Bruce Boudreau to step up, and he ends up kind of reviving this team, and they go on a little bit of a run. The fans love Bruce Boudreau. The players really love playing for him, and they were one of the teams that was in the playoff race at the end of the season, trying to compete with teams like Dallas for one of those wild card spots. They fell off a little bit at the end, but still, I think after they fired their coach and with all the drama that was going on there, a lot of people didn't expect a ton from them down the stretch in the 21-22 season, and they proved a lot of the doubters wrong. And a lot of expectations were placed upon them coming into this season because they, for the most part, kept the roster together. Bruce Boudreau was going to come back and coach this team, and people thought, all right, they might not win the Pacific Division given how good teams like Vegas and Los Angeles and Edmonton and Calgary are, but people were expecting this Canucks team to be competitive and to be playing meaningful games at this point in the season. And it has not turned out that way. Bruce Boudreau has now been fired. Rick Tocchet is now the head coach of the Canucks. Yes, the Rick Tocchet from the NHL on TNT. He leaves his comfortable job at the broadcast table, secure money, no pressure, and now he's put himself in, from what I can see, one of the most toxic organizations in the National Hockey League. The Canucks have just been an absolute mess this season, with players not really seeming to have the best chemistry, and the front office seeming to just not be managing things properly. And it's a shame because they really do, I think, have a talented roster, at least up front, with some big names on the top of the lineup, but they just have not been able to string together any sort of success this season. And now they're without their captain, Bo Horvat, who's been traded to the New York Islanders for quite some time. And really, it seems like a lot of the names on this team, outside of maybe two or three guys, could be gone next season. Guys like Elias Pettersson, I think, will be around for quite some time. Pettersson is having an MVP type season, although his team has not been very good. Elias Pettersson, 28 goals, 47 assists, 75 points in 57 games played this season. He's been phenomenal for this team. Quinn Hughes, brother of Jack Hughes, been one of the best defensemen in the NHL for a few seasons, and he has been just that again, nearly a point per game player with 54 points in 55 games. Andre Kuzmenko is having a nice season with 27 goals, and he's been extended recently. JT Miller has been the talk of controversy throughout stretches of this year, but he still has 20 goals and 54 points through 59 games this season. So they have some guys that can burn you. And we talked about guys like Luke Shin on Friday's episode, some guys that the Stars potentially could target in a trade. We've talked about Brock Besser. We know that they do have some talent on this team. They just have not been able to string that together into wins. And I think a big part of that is the lack of chemistry and just the lack of calmness that you need to be running a competent NHL franchise. At least calmness in the regard of the front office kind of knows what they're doing, and there's good relationships there between, the GM, the owner, and then the coaches, and then the players as well. There just really seems to be a huge disconnect there, and I think it's affected the way that the guys have played on the ice. And here we are with the Canucks on the outside looking in of the playoffs. Don't really necessarily see any heroics coming from them, but they're playing with nothing to lose. And as we've seen several times this season against bad teams, we know that the players on these teams never tank, even if the front office or the coaches want them to. So we can't just expect this Canucks team to come in and roll over on Monday night. They just lost on Saturday to the Boston Bruins. We saw a goalie goal get scored in that game. And so both of these teams coming off of a Saturday night contest, traveling from out west back to Dallas. But this is a huge game for the Stars to finally string together some wins after stringing together way too many consecutive losses. And what a great opportunity to do so again against one of the teams in the NHL that has been a massive disappointment and has several different areas that they can be exploited. They've gone through several different goaltenders this season. The goal differential just hasn't been very favorable for them in this campaign. The power play, the special teams in general, just not great. Although the power play is 11th in the NHL, actually above the Dallas Stars right now at the time of recording this, are actually dead even. The Canucks are listed higher at 11th and the Stars at 12th, both at 22.6%. So they're a little bit better than I thought. And again, you're going to have guys like Pettersson and Quinn Hughes out there. The power play, not too terrible, but the penalty kill is where you can burn this team. They're 32nd in the NHL in penalty kill percentage at 66.3%. And we know the power play needs to really get back into the swing of things. And what a wonderful opportunity to do so against literally the worst penalty kill in the National Hockey League, 66.3%. Huge opportunity to get two or three power play goals on the board and hopefully send the home fans home happy. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Stars. Thank you so much again for making us your first listen of the day. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcasting platform. You want to help the show out, leave a comment, leave a like, and leave a rating or review on your podcast platform of choice. Give us those 5 stars. Let us know why you love the show. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. We'll be recapping the game against the Canucks, and I'll, of course, be bringing you some sound bites from that game as well. Should be a fun one, and hopefully we're talking about another Dallas Stars win. But I hope you guys enjoy your Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.